Can we get a deal with Trump without tariffs? We're back and forth on this issue again. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. Last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney was admitting what I thought was inevitable. We're not going to get a deal without some kind of tariffs with the Trump administration. As I said at the time, I've been feeling like this is the way they've been moving since I went down to Washington with the premiers in February. Just talking to people in the administration, talking to people around the administration, in Congress. They were all talking about this 10% global tariff. And last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney, on his way into cabinet with his ministers, was stopped by reporters and asked, is it possible? Is it possible to get a trade deal with Trump without the tariffs? And speaking in French, he said this: there's not much evidence at the moment from the deals, agreements, and negotiations with the Americans for any country or jurisdiction to get a deal without tariffs. I figured Carney was softening the ground for telling the Canadian public, look, we can get a deal, but it's not going to be what we had before. The free trade era is over. We're into the era of tariffs. And I thought, okay, at least he's being realistic. But then Howard Lutnick comes on TV again. Now, Lutnick is Donald Trump's commerce secretary. He's the guy that Doug Ford went down and met with after Ford threatened to cut off the electricity to the United States. Lutnick is a bit of a carnival barker, a showman. He's a smart guy. He's a business guy who's made a lot of money, but he's also Trump's hype man, right? He goes out there and he says things for the boss, sometimes that the boss can't say or doesn't want to say. And he's on Face the Nation on Sunday morning when he's asked twice specifically about Canada. Here's the first answer where he talks about the trade deal.
We have a plan called USMCA, U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Virtually 75% of all goods coming from Mexico and Canada already come in tariff-free. The president said, look, unless you stop this fentanyl and close the border, we're just going to keep tariffs on the other 25%. And that's what he has on. So don't be confused about it. The president understands that we need to open the markets. Canada is not open to us. They need to open their market. Unless they're willing to open their market, they're going to pay a tariff. That's a simple message the president has. It's fair trade. It's reciprocal trade. Why should we have our country be wide open while theirs is closed? This is an 80-year wrong that President Trump is trying to fix.
Then pushed again on, well, will Canada get a deal with or without tariffs? Here's what he said the second time.
I think what you've got is you should assume that the small countries, the Latin American countries, the Caribbean countries, many countries in Africa, they will have a baseline tariff of 10%. And then the bigger economies will either open themselves up or they'll pay a fair tariff to America for not opening themselves up and treating America unfairly. So what the president's view is, and what she's instructed me to do, is say, look, if you're willing to open yourself up and really open your economy to American business, to ranchers, fishermen, farmers, and businesses, then, of course, we'll make a better deal with you. But if you're going to keep your tariffs and your tariff barriers holding us down, then, of course, it seems fair that you should pay a tariff to do business with the greatest customer on earth, the American consumer.
So what Canadians need to know coming out of this is, what exactly do we need to give up? How much do we need to open the economy? There are certain things that it would be great for us to open the economy on, whether it is banking or telecom or different things, areas where Canadian companies can and do already compete with the Americans. What do we need to do to get a deal with the Americans that doesn't include that 10% global-based tariff? We're not sure. The Americans aren't saying. Canadian side isn't saying. Could it be supply management? In the past, the Americans have said they don't want us to get rid of supply management. They just want us to give them greater access for their producers to sell into our market. But maybe now they've changed their mind and they want to get rid of supply management. There's an argument to keep it, and there's an argument for Canada to get rid of supply management to make the system better for Canadians. But what is on the table exactly? We don't know. In the coming days, as the deadline looms, it'd be smart for Prime Minister Carney to level with the Canadian people. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.